All right, everybody, welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Slate, the highest rated edition of the Slate, week in and week out, every single Wednesday of every single week since we have launched this incredible, potentially award-winning show. I'm Emerson Lancia. Jeff Ulrich is in the middle. Nick Fryer, new addition here to the Hump Day edition of the Slate. Hello, producer Eamon behind the scenes, AC on the ones and twos as well. Gentlemen, we got a lot to get to today. First is Nick Fryer not wishing producer Eamon a happy birthday this week. Everyone else here on this show has said happy birthday to him except Nick. Nick was the last one to do it, Jeff. Not you, not AC, but Nick Fryer, out of all people.
Well, I mean, he comes over to my house and then he acts like a complete, ignorant.
Yes. That's another thing, Nick. What's going on? Like, you want to be there with Jeff so bad that you end up emulating his background like this?
That's not what happened. We're actually in the same place right now. We have it all figured out where there's no echo or anything. We just didn't want to tell you to the absolute last minute so you can realize now you're excluded. Now, where Jeff's been saying, I'm the intern, you're the one that's getting pushed out now.
Okay.
And has anyone ever told you that you remind them of Ian Poulter? Because it's very...
What is this about? What is this about?
I just, the resemblance is uncanny. I don't know. I just wanted to point it out. It just seemed like right now, it seemed like
chiseled,
the appropriate moment to say,
chiseled, good at what he does, maybe has a little bit of a villain in him, yet most people on the inside realize that person is soft and has a huge heart. Yeah, people have told me that multiple times. Absolutely. Big fan favorite. Yep. Okay. Award winning.
I don't know if you're describing Ian Poulter or like Batman there, but definitely coming out swinging. That's good. I like that. He's not taking stuff sitting down. That's good.
No, dude, it is so weird every time I look at Nick's picture, like him just sitting like in your room. What the hell? All right, dudes.
Mission accomplished.
Wild card weekend. Why are we calling this Super Wild Card Weekend? Can it just still be Wild Card Weekend? Because next weekend is the divisional round. Anywho, they're all six are rematches, right? From the regular season here. Fryer, you said you got bets for, I think, like 3 games here. First off, do you have a bet in the Jags Chargers game? Is that one of your games that you're targeting?
Yeah, but I don't have. But look, honestly, right now, like every Jaguars related pick in terms of the spread and everything like that. And by the way, I told you last week they're gonna win, but the Jaguars are not gonna cover. So, but anyways,
very good. Better than your golf picks, which we have the Fade Fryer golf pick segment coming up in this show.
Yes.
Folks.
By the way, speaking of that, you want to tell everybody how I'm like new to the show and barely here, whatever. Like you've named a segment after me. You decided on that, not me. So like Jeff can say what he wants and that's fine, but you can't go and pull that stuff now. You're going to go and use me for a segment name. It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
You're unbelievable. So anyways, when it comes to the Jaguars game, right now my heart is in it a little bit with you. Like I want the Jaguars to win. I want them to do well. So I can't right now. I don't feel comfortable going with the spread, going with the money line on this one. I want the Jaguars to win, but I will say, looking on a prop basis, because I am going to be writing stuff up later in the week for that as well. Looking at Travis Etienne, looking at hhis receiving prop. It's at 15.5 yards right now. He's only gone over this, 9 times in 17 games. But he's gone over on his receiving prop, I should say. But he's gone over this number 11 times in 17 games, including Jacksonville's last 4 games. And at least one running back has gone over this number 9 times in the 17 games the Chargers played this season. Etienne did it way earlier in the season before the backfield was his alone. So I love this at 15.5. I know the Chargers can be tough on wide receivers, but I think this is a good way to attack them with a player prop.
I'm just looking at the tweet. I agree with everything you just said, Fryer, and thank you for your analysis. The tweet we sent out tagged a different Jeff Ulrich. Who is this guy?
The guy. I've been trying to get that account for years, man. He's got like 2 tweets. Last tweeted in like 2015. I'm DMing Elon after this, getting my account back. This guy's from South Africa. What does he think he's doing?
No, wait a minute. What just happened? So like we tweeted out then another tweet with the right handle. Does that ruin the original tweet? So we got to retweet this one now?
I think you're right.
Oh, man.
I think that's how it works.
Things are happening here.
This is an incredible show. The content is just off the charts. Jeff Ulrich.
Both tweets are
You
still
said-
there. This is really
Okay,
tripping.
that's great. This is good. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. I remember this morning. So we talked to you and Pierce and Jules about it, and I remember one thing you said about this game was that you really liked under. I think all three of you liked the under in this one. I like how Fryer brought up ETN because the Chargers defense allows almost 150 rushing yards per game this season. So the Jags should have a little more room to operate. And maybe they are able to gain more than 19 yards on the ground like they did last week against Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Travis Etienne is is going to be pretty pivotal in any Jaguars win. So, I like focusing in on him. Obviously, we got props up now here. So, but this line's moved to +2 as well. I think the other thing we said early in the week is if this line moves and we start to get multiple points on the Jaguars, like that's probably when you should hop on them. So, kind of at a point where it still feels like public is doubting the Jags at home and getting on the Chargers here, just kind of interesting. But yeah, the under at 47.5, both these defenses have played pretty well. They've faced weak opponents, but I still think you have to give the defensive units here some credit for what they've done. Some pretty solid defensive lines on both sides. Still some holes that can be taken advantage of, with the run game. So I'm just looking through the props now. Obviously, these pretty much just dropped today, fairly recently. But yeah, like Etienne, I mean, could be someone to look for. He's got a pretty big prop there. No shock. Maybe even an under on Austin Eckler for running. Okay. Probably something I'm going to look at. I think Eckler certainly in a position to catch multiple, like a lot of passes, but the Jags are tough against the run, man. They held up really well against Derrick Henry last week. And, I think that, containing Austin Eckler, who, you got Josh Kelly in there taking some really down snaps as well. I think that's a pretty solid play right there. Anything over 50 yards, I will probably be on the under there.
Yeah, I know last week wasn't really pretty with them, but they're still playing their best football of the season. For me, as a diehard fan, it was refreshing to see that the offense can have, because the offense the past 5, 6, 7 weeks has looked pretty damn good and elite at times. And see last week where Trevor Lawrence really couldn't deliver, missed some really terrible throws. And then with no running game whatsoever, you have this Jags defense here, Jeff, that has emerged as a potent weapon, a legit weapon for this team, holding opponents down to under 23 points in 4 of their last 5 games here, man. And not to mention, Nick, the Chargers have only knocked off one playoff team all season. That was the 7th seed Dolphins, baby. So give me the Duval.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. My apprehension again, I understand, you obviously want them to win. That's the other thing. And I think we're all kind of getting in that boat with you too. But when I look over at some of the market movement on this too, of course, the Jags are the underdogs in this one. And while I'm seeing them get a slight bit more on the handle than the percentage of bets, it's not really enough for me to go and trust that fully. But when we're going over to the spread too, and on the plays there, was it 4% difference? So the sharps are a little bit on the Chargers right now, covering at -2. Still close enough where anything you can go any way here in this one. So look, I'm with you with the Jags. I just that's the problem. It's my heart's in it a little bit right now. Anytime my heart's in it at all, I'm generally staying away from making decisions on that from a gambling perspective.
We got the whole squad, man. We got the whole squad, the entire company, DraftKings, everyone. It was always the Jags, people. Jeff Ulrich, the early game on Saturday. I don't know. Is that still? Yeah, it's still the lowest total. No, it's not. So Ravens Bengals is the lowest total now on the slate. But dude, Seahawks 49ers, Brock Purdy, 5-0 as a starter here. The key for them has not been turning the football over, talking San Francisco, which has a +9 turnover differential in those games. Do you have an early lean right now for the first game of Super Wild Card Weekend?
Yeah, I mean, this is one game where I'm kind of just I may end up getting something in on it late and playing the movement here. I think that at 10.5, I'm not shocked. I think that was too high. I really do think that you saw a bunch of people jump on that 10.5. San Francisco is interesting. They are a group of alphas at every position, and they can certainly have proven over the last 10 weeks that they can beat you in so many different ways. They allowed a ton of points. Their defense had a bad week against Jared Stidham. Their offense scored a ton of points. Their defense has been wrecking people left and right, certain weeks as well. So that's fine. But they have they have gotten in some shootouts here, and they're playing an elite quarterback in Geno Smith. And I think that's like, which is true. I mean, like that statement is fairly true right now. And I think with the fact that you've got Tyler Lockett out there, even at 9.5, like I'm kind of, I don't want to say I've done like a 360 or a 180 here, but I do feel like probably the way here is to take the Seahawks with the points. It's a 1-game scenario. You still got Brock Purdy, who's, like he's looked good, but he's a bit of an unknown.
He's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been awesome, but it's his first playoff start. Like he's the one with the 49ers have the pressure here. Like it really is like you talk about house money. I mean, the Seahawks getting into the playoffs here, it's just like amazing. I mean, this is a team with no pressure. It doesn't mean they can't be blown out. That's the other thing I was talking about this one. I think this game has the biggest variable of outcomes on the slate in a lot of ways, where you could see blowouts, you could see a shootout, you could see like just a boring game as well. I mean, which was kind of what we got the last time these two teams played. So
it's kind of been the trend too in that window on Saturdays recently of Wild Card Weekend. This 4:30 game has not been excellent.
I think much like Mike Tomlin, and again, I give credit to my guy Pierce Dietrich on this because he's right. Coaches, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, you could probably put Belichick in there. Very good at just planning for 1-game scenarios and just keeping things close in games like this. So is it always going to work out like that? No. San Francisco is a team that could just come and just be overwhelming. But I think that taking the points with the Seahawks, if you can get this back up over 9.5, and it wouldn't shock me if that moves that way eventually. I think Seattle is a pretty solid bet there.
Briar, was this one of the games that you had a bet in?
No, but I did have a little bit of a lean here and a general approach kind of going into this one. So I'm with Jeff when it comes to going with the Seahawks. I think you made some great points there. In general, I think the Seahawks I know that they've been up and down, but like you said, they're playing with house money. They've been the surprise team all year, despite, maybe having not inched their way in at the end. But the thing that I'm most interested in, again, player props, not just because I got to write some stuff up for the weekend, but because now we're seeing Deebo Samuel thrown back in the mix. And I'm going to be looking at these player props with the under in mind, primarily with all of them. Generally, try and go in with just an open mind. But in this case, I'm actually going to be looking at unders that I can try and attack. Right now, Brandon Ayuk is the guy in my head who makes the most sense, just from breakdown standpoint with Deebo Samuel being back in the mix. But I'm not above looking at some Christian McCaffrey stuff, maybe even looking at Deebo Samuel's numbers too. But right now, receiving yards, what is Ayuk at there, Jeff? Is that 48.5?
48.5, yeah.
48.5 right now. Okay, yeah. So I believe that was the last. Yeah, that was the number I've been operating with. And look, he's gone over that number a ton, and the last stretch of games where Deebo was in, I know he was in last game, and Ayuk still went over this number on just 4 receptions, but a little bit more hit or miss when Deebo's thrown back into the mix. So I got to look at some more numbers here too, because I got to see what the what wide receivers have done exactly against the Seahawks throughout the course of the season before I make a decision there. But that's kind of my approach right now to this game.
Yo, is the weather supposed to be crap here? Like I've been reading some articles.
So.
I've seen rain mentioned a bunch, which would obviously negatively affect Brandon Ayuk there as well.
Yeah, it looks like we got 86% precipitation.
Okay, that's a lot of moisture in the air. Yeah, Geno Smith, by the way, Jeff, averaging just 216 passing yards in a couple regular season losses to the 49ers. What about something with like George Kittle? Is he plus 135? I think he was for anytime touchdown scorer. Jeff, that guy has 7 touchdown receptions the last 4 weeks, and red zone scoring could end up being the difference in this game too.
Yeah, and he plays well against Seattle too, generally over his career.
True.
So Seattle's just not very good at covering that part of the field. I think Kittle's presence also lends itself to more of an Ayuk under. Yeah, you could look to him in the touchdown department. I mean, that he has been, Brock Purdy's guy there. Deebo Samuel being active again and probably getting more involved here. It may lead to a few less, red zone looks. I typically obviously don't go heavy on the touchdown department. We can bring up the.
Okay. I mean, you can go receptions here too, because you did make a good point with how the Seattle defense. I mean, hell, they give it 3rd most targets per game to opposing tight ends, and for Kittle, he leads the team in targets and has hit. Let's see, 3.5 catches? I think north of 3.5 catches in every game since Purdy took over at quarterback.
I think Kittle, again, if we get a closer game or anything like that, Kittle probably makes more sense as a target than Deebo Samuel. I'm pretty interested in Deebo Samuel's rushing prop here, potentially at only 12.5. We can rip that off like with one run. And I think that with the rain too, that could be something else to consider. But yeah, I mean, Kittle's numbers do jump out, only 42 receiving yards. The touchdown prop at 135 actually really, when you think about sometimes the juice that we pay for touchdowns, it's not that bad. So, and then 3.5 receptions. So, I think if I was going to be looking for overs here, I think Nick I'm pretty much in line with him. The under on Ayuk looks pretty nice considering the weather, and also just considering Seattle's outside corners aren't terrible. And then, you tack them in the middle with Kittle and Deebo Samuel. I think that actually makes for a lot of sense. And if you're putting together a same game parlay, you might want to think about doing that too. Get a couple Deebo runs, takes away targets from Ayuk. And I mean, Kittle just obviously can hit this on his own. So I think that's a solid way to break down that game for sure.
Yeah, Kittle's a good call, guys. Actually, just looking at what he's done recently and then kind of looking at what happened with particularly the receptions. I mean, I think with the receiving yards, that can absolutely happen. But the receptions, I mean, what is it, the last 4 or 5 games? Yeah, 5 games. And then even when Deebo was in the mix too, I think the last stretch of games that he was in, he went over that number too. So yeah, I like that call a lot, actually.
You'll probably see the juice on that over get down to minus 140. Before game time, I wouldn't be shocked. So
yeah,
if you want to bet it, I would bet that now.
And I think the rain does benefit Kittle. I think it does.
Yes,
could see because that depth of target stat. I think the longest Purdy goes downfield is like 10 yards too, man. All right, let's go Saturday. Or that is Saturday. Let's go Sunday. Let's go Sunday here, dude. Some big spreads on the board here, Ulrich. So we have the Bills 13-point favorites now because what is that? Did that get bigger today after the Tua news?
Yeah.
What was it before? I got to click on this thing.
I can't even remember, but I did tell people that you should jump on it because regardless of who starts, I mean, I think there's just a very good chance that the Bills. What was it at, Nick? Now I can't even remember.
Give me a second.
Betting trends. Hold on, guys. I'm getting it there. I'm getting there. F it, man. Hold on. Here we go. 11.5. No, hold on. I got it. It opened at 10.5.
Yeah, it was pretty big before, but it may have fluctuated a bit.
Because it went down to 9. Went down to 9 13 hours, 31 minutes, and 30 seconds ago. Oh my God. This is
32 seconds ago.
What happened was it was around 10.5. I may have opened there or something. And then some news got out that Tua looked like he was going to play, and it got down. And that was kind of the time to hit it. And then, again, once he got ruled out, I mean, it just shot back up way past where it opened. So, which it should have. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater may not play. It looks like it's probably going to be Skylar Thompson. So
yeah, that's what Coach said today.
Yeah. This line doesn't shock me at all. At 13, I'm not gonna take the Bills. Your opportunity was to get them at 10.5 or 9.5, which I did, and I feel really, really good about it because I didn't really care who was starting at quarterback. I think the Bills defense is going to take a step up. And I think the Dolphins are just a team that has kind of just run out of gas. They, were really explosive early in the year, obviously missing Tua, but there's other issues with the Dolphins as well. I mean, their defense doesn't hold up certainly that good in certain situations. If they don't get good protection on the quarterback, I mean, they've kind of fallen apart against better teams. And I mean, certainly they're going up against one of the best secondaries here in the Bills. So I don't know.
I don't think Miami wants to be here. I don't. I think I know it's wild to say it, but I think a lot of these guys are just there's no reason to go there and play.
Yeah.
You're just going to get your what pushed in, man.
That's the thing. I don't even know if if the attitude would have changed if Tua was in. I think that the discussion there with Tua's health, just with the way they ended this season, these really bland games, no pop, all the excitement from the Dolphins from the start of the year when they were wheeling and dealing, people are like, oh, Tua's an MVP. Look how stupid the Tua haters are. And I'm not saying Tua is it's really unfortunate what happened to him, but I'm just saying all that excitement is gone. It's like the bubble has been burst.
We got the coaching rumors now too, right?
Yeah, and
exactly, Nick. And then the coaching, like this is just this is going to be a blowout. You know what? Just take the Bills minus 13. This is going to be a no. I mean seriously, like I mean, there's no argument for the Dolphins.
There isn't.
Like, unlike Seattle, which is coming in, they got all the good momentum. They got Geno. They got these draft picks. They got Pete Carroll to rile them up. No one's riling up the Dolphins. Like I'm sorry, you know, Mike McDaniel can wear all the funny shirts he wants. He hasn't been able to get this team up really in since the first half of the year. So
yeah, but it's just tough. I mean, like,
and it's not all his fault. You're right.
Yeah, like I mean, it's of course everybody's to blame there, but like the biggest thing is like what's the Tua situation is just like who could have seen any of this coming? They didn't handle it well originally, and that's what led him to this spot. But I agree with you completely, Jeff. My only thing is that just look, the Bills, can they cover that number? Of course. But I just don't feel comfortable like where it's at now touching it. And I think there's a better way to go about betting this game personally. And it's still backing the Bills. I think taking their point total. I know that the sharps right now are looking at the under on this one, but if you go over to the teams prop on DraftKings Sportsbook and you look at the team total, last I checked, it was set at 27.5. Is that still the case, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, 27.5. So they've gone over this number 9 of their 17 games, 6 of their last 8, 6 of their 8 home games. And then one of the 2 times that they went under this number, they scored 27. So they're right around it all the time at home. You look at the Dolphins, but Jeff was saying there's a lot of issues with this team beyond Tua. Well, when you look at their defense, bottom 10 in terms of third down defense, red zone defense, yards per game allowed, and takeaways. So, I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for the Bills, and they don't like to take it easy. They don't take their foot off the gas at all. The one thing I will say, if you're looking to bet the Dolphins in any capacity, if Teddy Bridgewater ends up playing, and I know it seems unlikely right now, over on Tyreek Hill's receiving yards, it's not available yet, but worth considering. Obviously, don't know the number, and that's going to have an impact. They do well together. And then Jalen Waddle, the under on his receiving yard prop. Again, got to see what it is, but those are the angles I'm going to take when we find out who's going to be starting at quarterback.
Buffalo 7-1 at home in the regular season. And Josh Allen, we mentioned on the show earlier in the week with you, Jeff, 352 passing yards is what he's been averaging. He's got 7 touchdowns and no picks against the Dolphins in 2 regular season meetings this year.
I would just take the spread personally, but I mean, the team total's fine. I don't know, but
you're right. There's no justifying like not going with the Bills in this one. It's just that I just feel this seems a little more comfortable just because of how big the numbers. But again, the Bills can absolutely do it too. Like if I have to pick one, I'm with you on it, Jeff.
My only worry about taking the Bills on the team total would be that the Dolphins are just so bad that the Bills get up like 20-0, and then it's just like the game is over, and it's like they don't even need to score in the fourth quarter. But again, I mean, look, like this offense could also just put up 50 points as well. So
that's the thing. They don't care. Like they continue to go off. I mean, I was looking at some of the totals like on all of it too. I mean, they kick the tar out of teams in meaningless games. So why not happen now?
No, it's a good point. And there's certainly going to be no let up in the playoffs. So I think that the main thing is here. Yeah, you don't really probably want to be on the Dolphins this week.
All right.
Okay. So what the hell are you guys doing for Sunday Night Football here? Because this is another game when we're talking Cincinnati and Baltimore. This is another game where the quarterback situation is directly impacting the line here. Like, is Lamar Jackson going to play? Like, I think producer Eamon put in our Slack channel earlier, like he didn't practice today. Like, doesn't even matter, Jeff, like knowing he hasn't played since week 13.
Yeah. So, and again, this is another line. I mean, like at the start of the week, minus 6.5. And I basically said the same thing. Like, you really shouldn't care too much about the quarterback situation because I mean, even if Lamar played, he hadn't played for a while. He hasn't played for like 6 weeks. His injury is clearly a lot more serious than John Harbaugh was making it out to be at the start of when it occurred. Mm-hmm. And, you've just got 2 teams here who are, couldn't be more different. I mean, you've got potentially the worst passing game in the league in the Ravens, the best in the Bengals. Can Baltimore make this a game? I think there's far better chance that Baltimore makes this a game than Miami. Yeah, because Baltimore can run the ball. And that's the one thing, like, we saw the Cleveland Browns come in and kind of work the Bengals a little bit. They got the run game going early. They sacked Joe Burrow a couple times, and so the Bengals are great. I really like them. I think that they'll take care of business, but I'm going to stay away from this game.
Yeah.
Just completely. Now the line's at 8.5. Like I wouldn't touch it. If you got the Bengals at 6.5, you should feel real good.
Yes.
Otherwise, like I don't. It's not that I don't trust the Bengals. Like it's just if I'm taking a big line, like just take what's out there. I mean, I think that the Bills are a way better bet, even though the line is so much bigger than necessarily taking the Bengals against the Ravens team who can run the ball, could easily make this ugly, and they have a coach as well in Harbaugh who's been in this situation many times. He fits in that Pete Carroll mode of, everything's against them, but he'll find something to latch onto. So it's a little bit of a scary game for the Bengals in a way. I don't think that this is going to be close, but it certainly has more chance of being close than the Miami and Buffalo game does.
Prior, Cincy was one of the top teams to bet on this season, finishing with a 12-4 ATS record. These guys haven't lost since Halloween. I think that was the night Jeff was referring to. They got embarrassed by the Browns, right?
Yeah.
And the defense on this 8-game winning streak has allowed less than 20 points per game.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff's right though. You should have gone after this earlier in the week if you were going to go and take it at 8.5. It's not as appealing. I'm not saying go with the Ravens at this number. I think right now, I don't think this is likely. But if Lamar Jackson ends up playing, let's say that ends up being the case, and then we see the number, some people start to go and back the Ravens, and then somehow the books go and take a point away from the Ravens. If that's the case, then I'd feel better about backing them. Like if you can get this if it gets down to like a 7.5, then I'd feel comfortable because I don't think that I think Jeff's right. Like Lamar Jackson being thrown in the mix is not necessarily going to be helpful. And while Harbaugh can handle like the situation and minimize this number, maybe where it's at now with the guys that they have in the mix, if you go and throw Lamar Jackson back in there where you might think he's going to be a Superman and whatnot. Now, Harbaugh is going to know better, but Jackson may not necessarily. But then there's the whole point of like, what's his, what's going to go on for Jackson next season? How far is he going to push himself and everything? Does he is he just giving up, because, I'm injured. Like if he goes in place, like I've been battling this injury, am I going to push myself even farther where like I could go and get hurt again really quickly and then jeopardize how things go for me next year when maybe we have a better chance? So I think there's too many variables in this one. And I'd rather just wait and see if Lamar plays, and then maybe you can go and get this number somehow get it a little bit lower. But even then, that seems unlikely. I think this ship has sailed on this one for a lot of people.
Nick, any other NFL bets you want to dish out before we hit on golf very quickly before we head out?
Yeah, just real quick. Kirk Cousins under his passing prop, 277.5. We want to be quick with this. Take your time. I mean, whatever. He's gone. Okay, I'll roll this fast. Fine. Under this number, 5 of 9 home games. 14 quarterbacks have gone under this number against the Giants this year. Cousins has gone under this number 11 times this year, and of course 17 games. And then the under is actually only 7 and 9 on Cousins' passing yard prop. So the over has hit a little bit more, but still, it's a really close number to the point where the books know, like they have a good feel for Cousins. And then we're taking him and putting him essentially in prime time right now. So then I naturally want to fade him a little bit. So I think going under here, because I was trying to look at Jefferson after what's gone on, after what happened a couple of weeks ago and how low he was, where his number was at. I think it's like 91.5, but I'd rather just fade Cousins because Jefferson can still go off and then Cousins doesn't end up reaching this number.
Ulrich, the spotlight is going to be on Kirk Cousins, 1-3 in the playoffs. This is going to be his first home start for the Vikings, man.
Yeah. I'm actually going to take the Vikings this week. It feels a little gross, but
that does.
Look, here's the argument for the Vikings. What team has played in more close games this year than Minnesota? They set the NFL record for one possession wins. I mean,
it was insane.
If anyone is ready to play in a close playoff game, it's Minnesota. And it's not like we're like, okay, you can talk about Brian Daboll all you want. And, the Giants just aren't that good. I mean, the Giants have allowed big games to Washington, to Taylor Heineke. Very lucky to even be getting a tie and a win out of those games. They needed the refs' help at the end as well in one of them. So, it's the team down the stretch that not super impressive. And I think they have a defense here that, they allowed 27 points in the first game. They needed a late touchdown drive just to tie the game and force the Vikings to kick a field goal. And in that game, it opened at 5.5, closed at 3.5, but you're not getting that number now. Like you're not getting any hook or any edge to take the Giants. The Vikings are the home team. The Vikings, to me, just a little bit more complete in terms of they have Jefferson. They have guys like KJ Osborne who can really wreck that secondary. And I think it just might be too much for the Giants in the end. So I'm going to take the Vikings. I think they, as I said, I think that they at least they get up for this one. They got a weak opponent. They've actually done well against weaker opponents this year. They kind of took care of business, and I think they're gonna grab that one playoff win and then get smoked next week by probably San Francisco. So.
By the way, if you're like me and you want to see the Vikings win, because I do like the Vikings, when Cousins has gone under the passing prop that he has for this week, they are 8-3 still. So
yeah, it's a good thing. Exactly. Yeah, I'm not shocked that those two correlate. I mean, you know.
And didn't they? I don't think Minnesota turned the ball over, right, in that first matchup. I don't know.
I don't know about that, friend.
Great. I think so. And Saquon Barkley also 8. In that was the long ass field goal to end the game.
Yeah,
right?
61-yarder by Greg the Leg Joseph.
Oh yeah, I love that, dude. Greg the Leg Joseph was a beast in Madden Sims. Which, by the way, Minnesota and the Falcons will play each other coming up here at 6:00. Latest Madden Sim. Yeah, it is a fantastic segue. Fantastic segue here too. It's time to hashtag Fade Fryer. All right, everybody, for the golf bets of the week. Fryer,
shoot your shot, buddy. Who you got?
Go ahead, dude.
Okay.
What are your golf bet or bets?
Who are we going with?
Tonight?
One guy.
Schmidt.
One. I like this.
Tyler
Now
Duncan. Who?
You can get him at plus 175 in the top 20 market. You can get him at plus 360 in the top 10 market. Okay. To win, plus 3,500. Taylor Montgomery is my guy this week.
All right.
Still 3,500. Yes. Okay. Biggest reason for that. And actually, he was put on my radar, not his name directly, but the stat from the DK Nation PGA cheat sheet written by none other than Jeff Ulrich. 9 of the past 12 winners of this event ranked inside the top 50 on the PGA Tour in stroke gains putting for the year in which they won. Now, obviously, it's earlier in the year, so we're not going to know how things pan out for Montgomery, but in that category. But his putter is his best club. So that's my guy.
All right. I'm going to give him credit here, Ulrich, because Montgomery has been damn good all fall. He's a rookie too, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he played in he played the weekend in all 7 events.
He's like a putting
top
god.
25 finishes.
He is a putting god. Nick's
Fryer could be onto something here. So wait, Fryer, was that an outright or you kind of you like this guy just to target?
Look, I mean,
you could ladder bet him. I mean, you could bet him in all 3. You
know, There you go. All right, Fryer, I'm excited. I have a feeling you're going to nail a bunch of these this year. That's how much confidence I have in you.
The only thing about Taylor Montgomery this week is it is his first time playing the course. And I don't know if we've had a first-time winner at the Sony since Henley did it in 2014. But Henley 13. Was a very good putter coming out of the Korn Ferry Tour. Taylor Montgomery, kind of a similar mode. This honestly wouldn't shock me that much. So, yeah.
That's a compliment coming from Ulrich here.
Wow. Good.
Ulrich, we got like 2 minutes to go here, bud. Rip through these best bets for us, man. I mean, you've been dishing them out all week anyway on the sweat.
Yeah, for sure. Cameron Davis's numbers come down a bit, but he's the same price as Taylor Montgomery, another young player. You do need guys who can go low here. Davis is just, from a tee to green perspective, really, really solid. I think he can do something similar to what Hideki did last year, just tear this course up. Kind of what Justin Thomas did in 2017 as well. Going down the board here, I don't mind my guy Adam Scott, to be honest.
My wife thinks he's cute.
I mean, he's a pretty good looking guy. He played last week, which is a good trend. Like you said, he's into the surfing with Kelly Slater. But in all seriousness, Adam Scott really eats up short courses. He's 5th in strokes gained tee to green on par 70s, under 7,200 yards. So Cam Davis is actually really good in that category as well. Always something to look at. Guys can come up and just kind of do target practice with these kind of these shorter courses. I'm going to take a shot with my guy Russell Knox as well down here. He's actually plus 1,300 or plus 13,000. Really, really solid iron player. It putted well in the fall actually for him. So the putter's heating up a bit. But those are 3 guys I'm targeting. You know what? I may even just get some money on Taylor Montgomery here. I kind of like the call. He is an elite enough putter that, you should be targeting him at these kind of events. So right type of event for Montgomery, like it. I think when you're looking at his number, I think the biggest thing here is just it's just like anything. We want the best value. You're looking at Montgomery versus 3,500 versus, you've got guys like Connors, even my guy Hanley down here. I think the skill set that he brings is pretty interesting. So I'm gonna say right off the bat, I endorse this pick by Nick. And, I'll put my money where my mouth is as well.
Oh, that was good.
Billy Horschel season. All right, Billy Horschel.
Billy Horschel wasn't even going to play. Dude, look, if there's one thing don't do, no, just shut up for a second.
Yeah.
Billy Horschel wasn't even going to play this event. He had planned not to play it, and he's going through swing changes. This guy may not even he may withdraw after round two. So whatever you do this week, do not listen to Emerson and do not play Billy Horschel.
I agree. Little nerve. The only thing I'm saying for my guy, terrible opening round last weekend, but played great golf. Second, third, and fourth rounds. The swing adjustments, whatever, dude. As long as he can take some momentum into this weekend, yes. Don't bet him. Let's see how he does. But he's my guy. He's got.
He'll probably win now.
I thought Ian Poulter was your guy.
No. Okay, no, bud. All right, we gotta go. The Falcons and Vikings are coming up next. My wife just ordered the Prince Harry book. Have you seen some of the things coming out of that? I've
heard some things. My fiance ordered it too.
Yeah. He's been doing some, did some pretty interesting things.
DraftKings book club.
Yeah. I'm a big reader. Okay.
Sure.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Eamon. See you, buddy. Everybody. Bye.